How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Drive Angry, sometimes known as Drive Angry 3D, because yeah, this was originally going to be a 3D movie, and there are definitely some parts that show, but that adds to its cheesy charm. This is from 2011 and directed by Patrick Lussier. Patrick Lussier, kind of an underrated director. I've liked most of the stuff that he's done. He's primarily known as an editor, actually. I think he actually edited, H2O. But he's also directed the remake of My Bloody Valentine, also a 3D movie, also super cheesy and fun. Obviously, the original My Bloody Valentine's technically better. The remake is cheesy fun, though. I do like it. He also did a slasher called Trick. That's a pretty good watch around Halloween time, although it's not the best. Anyway, this movie stars Nicolas Cage. Obviously, that's got my attention right there. Nick Cage is really awesome, and he does a lot of action stuff, but I always like when he does a good horror. It's about hell and stuff. More grindhouse, I guess, than horror, but I always like when he does some darker, crazier stuff, you know? So Nicolas Cage here, that's great. William Fichtner, Tom Atkins, Night of the Creeps, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, Maniac Cop. Tom Atkins is a classic horror movie actor. Great to see him here. I think he's been working with Lussier before. He was definitely in Trick. And of course, have to mention, this movie also stars Amber Heard. And I know the internet right now is really mad at Amber Heard, and I see why. But that being said, if we can look past this, the movie itself is really good. The movie, I would go so far as to say, and I don't say this lightly, that Drive Angry might be one of Nicolas Cage's best movies. I'm not saying top 5, maybe top 10 though, I don't know. It's worth noting when talking about Cage, super fun, super enjoyable, just cheesy grindhouse throwback, you know? This has constant action, car chases, gunshots, explosion. It's a sort of on-the-road chase action movie trying to save Nicolas Cage's granddaughter from a cult, and it really just, it goes for it. The characters are larger than life, it's entertaining, it's memorable, it's action that focuses on cheesy gags maybe more than practicality. And yeah, sometimes the cheesy gags are cheesy, and sometimes they don't even look the best. But they are super, super fun. I found out about this movie, I want to say about 2 years ago, and since then I've seen it at least 3 times. It's really good, really rewatchable, and I think as far as Nicolas Cage movies go, this one doesn't get talked about as much as it should. Like I said, a Nicolas Cage classic, definitely worth the watch, especially like if you guys liked the grindhouse throwback that Rodriguez and Tarantino did, like, you know, Planet Terror and Death Proof, I'd say go ahead and make it a triple feature and watch this one too. Really is worth it. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the plot. I'm not going to do any major spoilers. I kind of want to do the setup and show you guys the pieces. I won't cover the ending, though. Anyway, we open up with a super cool opening. We get a narrator who we'd later find out is the auditor, and he's kind of complaining. He's like, some people, they just think they're above the rules and the law doesn't apply to them. And why this is happening, we see a classic sports car burst out of hell itself and escape. You're opening the movie with a car bursting out of hell, crazy fire, he's going over this bridge, the demon from The Exorcist is there for no reason, but shared universe confirmed. It's a cool, iconic opening, and it gets you in the right mood. We meet Nicolas Cage. He's Milton. Yeah, he escaped hell, and his name is John Milton. Paradise Lost reference. But anyway, he's broken out of hell because his daughter has been killed by a cult, and the cult has his daughter's baby, his granddaughter, and they're going to sacrifice it on the first full moon that they can and try to open the gates of hell. And Nicolas Cage shows up. We get a really fun opening sequence where he's blasting people with the shotgun like it was the Terminator, and we even get the classic car exploding behind him as he walks away like a tough guy. Cool stuff. But he gets the information he needs to. He needs to find out where his granddaughter is, and she is being taken to a prison in Louisiana where they're going to do this ritual. So he knows where and he knows who. Now he just has to get there. He has to go on a road trip from, I think he starts off in Oklahoma, going through Texas and into Louisiana. And then that's where you get Amber Heard's character. She's a waitress, but her boss acts like a huge pervert, and she quits. And she goes, okay, I don't have a career now, but at least I have a fiancé. Quitting means getting home early, means walking in on your fiancé with another woman, and she angrily punches him in the face. Yeah, so now Amber Heard doesn't have a job, doesn't have a fiancé anymore. She's on her own, sort of the classic cut ties with your old life and go on an adventure character. And Nicolas Cage chooses her because she has a cool car. I think it's a Charger, a 68 Charger, I believe. And they're going to hit the road and look for Nicolas Cage's daughter and go to some cool places along the way and go into some fights because it's Nicolas Cage, and then there's the evil cult. Classic grindhouse villains, but because they cause so much carnage, they're also going to have to deal with the police chasing him. Who's this Milton guy? I don't know. We need to get him because he's caused so many dead bodies. And that's where you get Tom Atkins being the gruff cop who shows up and bosses people around. Say aim for their tires, but really aim for their heads. You know, a cool Tom Atkins character. But it's not just, like, we already have three elements, but there's also the accountant. The accountant is super cool. He works for hell, keeping track of where everyone is. And he'll say, you escaped from hell, I don't care where you're going, you're supposed to go back. So he'll be in this action sequence, and because he's, supernatural, nothing phases him, and things will blow up, and he'll just be standing there walking towards you. Really, really cool. And yeah, definitely a really great addition. They get away with having so many characters because the accountant pretends to be an FBI guy, and you can kind of push him in with the police there, kind of mimicking who he needs to be and influencing who he needs to. But he's a great character, and that's the thing, is this movie is cheesy and awesome, and I really do like the characters and how they're portrayed. Nicolas Cage is the classic gruff man of few words, very, very almost like a Western character. And they'll say, Nicolas Cage has a big gun that he stole from hell, and at one point the auditor's like, how'd you get that? And he's like, I just walked in and took it. Great classic action hero line. And the auditor has a bunch of fun jokes, without being a wacky character, like the auditor just happens to meet two stoner characters, and he points to one and says, I won't see you for another 70 years. And then he points to the other, I'll see you in 3 months. Some good jokes like that. And in addition to the main characters, you get a lot of the side characters or the smaller roles, like Amber Heard's boss and her ex, who are just, absolute almost cartoonish scumbags, You get that. A lot of even the smaller characters are over the top, and I like that. Over the top, though? 3D. Yeah, this is one of those movies, you watch it, you kind of know it's supposed to be 3D. You get, like, Nicolas Cage's big hell gun, shoots it, and the bullet will go right at the camera, and there's a bunch of cheesy CGI that's, like, surrounding the bullet. It's absolutely cheesy, and when it hits something, boom, and super cheesy, not great special effects, but it also makes them awesome, You get things, like the car flips off a bridge, and this ridiculous, not convincing looking special effect that's still awesome, and everything is going to be flying up at the camera. When the auditor is going to pretend to be an FBI guy, he flips up a coin, and it goes right up in the air, right at the camera, and then he catches it, and he turns it into his FBI badge. Totally unnecessary, but for a cheesy big 3D movie, that's great. And obviously, they focus on gags, And the thing is, like, you can show me good, realistic choreography, that's great, but sometimes when they do that, they forget the gags. And I do think gags are important when telling a fight scene. It's the weird, crazy, and practical stuff that gets you to go, oh, you gotta see this movie, they do something crazy. You get the ex-boyfriend being punched and he hits an AC unit and then he falls below it and the AC unit falls out the window, squishes his head. Great stuff there. But you get this other sequence I really do like where there's people coming after them and one's about to shoot one of our lead characters and then he gets shot. And as he's dying, the shot that was meant for our main character, he falls and spins, shoots his friend in the face. 2 bad guys for 1. That was really good. But when we talk about cheesy sequences, when we talk about big over-the-top gags, the biggest crazy moment from this film has to be when Nicolas Cage is having sex. He knows someone's gonna come, so he's like, mostly dressed and having sex, and all of a sudden, guys burst in from the door, a bunch of bad guys try to kill him, he picks up his gun, and while he's still having sex, he's also drinking a bottle of Jack Daniels and killing people. It's a shootout scene as well, and it is just way too much. Very intense, very crazy and stupid. And that's the point. It's supposed to be very crazy and stupid. And it really is. It's an on-the-road action movie, cars and guns, the whole time. It never lets up. And it is just, it's super rewatchable. I talk about how sometimes there's lazy Saturday afternoon movies where you just kind of turn off your brain and watch a movie. And this kind of has some of that, but it's done so well, where it's like, yeah, you can turn your brain off and watch this, but it's also, it's junk food, but it's the best of junk food, and that really is a thing. It's super rewatchable. Whenever you see that this is streaming, once you've watched it and you know what it is, there's so many days where you're tired and you collapse and you're like, Drive Angry's on. I've seen it a few times. Kind of want to watch it again, though. Junk food, yes, but we all love junk food. There's one thing I kind of want to talk about with Milton's character, and it is this thing, it's about the edit. So Milton, the whole movie, there's hints that, he's been dead. A lot of people will go, I thought you were dead. And then he'll say, I was just spending time in prison. And then he like takes out his driver's license and they're like, dude, this isn't expired. This is an antique. What are you doing? And we, of course, because of the opening scene, know that he's dead and he's escaped from hell. And we know that because of the opening scene, but the opening scene was added in later because they felt the movie should be more straightforward. It's a cheesy movie, might as well not try to pull tricks. So in turn, you get these scenes that hint at Nicolas Cage being supernatural, which is something we already know. I guess Amber Heard's character doesn't, so it's still about her uncovering the mystery. But I kind of wonder, without that opening scene, what it would be like to slowly realize that Nicolas Cage is supernatural. I think that would be interesting, but at the same time, that opening scene is way too cool. I mean, it sets the mood perfectly. It's this great visual with a really good narration over it that really sets the mood. And yeah, I see it cuts out the mystery, and I do wonder what it would be like. But it's just too cool, right? I don't know. This is kind of something people debate with this movie, and I'd be curious what you think. You know, do you think that it would be better without the opening scene or not? And I see why you can say it might not, but it's too cool. Whatever. Anyway, this is definitely a super rewatchable action movie. It's a very underrated Nicolas Cage classic. It's one that I think more people should talk about. It's one I really do like, and I definitely can't recommend enough. Cheesy, junk food, grindhouse throwback, but definitely watch it if you haven't. If you want just that perfect way to waste a Saturday, this is definitely it. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. If you guys want to see me talk about more movies, I dropped something. If you guys want to see me talk about more movies, I'll put a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Nicolas Cage playlist, where you can see my reviews for, like, say, The Color Out of Space and Vampire's Kiss, plus a lot more. I've talked about a few Cage movies, and I really need to get on the ball because he's made a ton of movies that I still have to talk about. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Nick Cage playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.